Going through Nehemiah around chapter 7. Nehemiah was a cupbearer. He was a part of the exiled Israelites who were sent to Persia under Nebuchadnezzar. And they'd been there for about 70 years at this point. And the prophecy said that after that time they would be able to return. And sure enough, I believe it was through King Cyrus, they were able to return. And so now we're chronicling what that process was like. What was it like for them? And at this point, they're trying to rebuild Jerusalem. The people that have been allowed to repatriate back to Jerusalem by the kings of Persia, and three of the Persian kings were on board with this. And during the time of Nehemiah, we're on the third one, which was Artaxerxes. And so Nehemiah was his cupbearer. So he got to drink the top quality wine all day long. That was his job. Can you imagine? Um, he was like a sommelier back then, probably. He could probably taste wine and know exactly everything about it. So, as we saw in the previous readings, chapters of this book, there's a lot of opposition going on, and so we're just learning about this opposition because there's local people that are trying to prevent this rebuilding, especially of the wall. The first thing they basically rebuild is the wall, and they do it pretty quickly. And as we're going to see in this chapter, they have finished the wall, and we saw at the end of the last chapter as well. So I know I'm starting late today, and I'm kind of just rambling a little bit to oh, we got someone. Looks like someone just joined. So if you're here, if you just joined, welcome. We're doing a Bible study today on Nehemiah. We're on chapter 7. And if you've been, say hello if you can. Let us know that you're here and who you are. We got Clocker Man. Clocker Man. What does Clocker Man mean? Welcome. We just got a massive group of people watching now. We got Zimmerman. Hello, Zimmerman. If you guys haven't subscribed, do us a favor. We're trying to get to 1,000. We're reading Nehemiah today. We're on chapter 7. And Nehemiah is about when the exiles, the Israelites who were exiled to Persia, were able to get to go back home. And this is chronicling what they went through as they are trying to rebuild Jerusalem. There's a lot of opposition from local peoples. And yeah, so it's like just kind of chronicling. And Nehemiah, he was a cupbearer for the king Artaxerxes. So basically, he got to drink wine all day long, and he's basically like a ancient sommelier probably. So we're gonna talk about what he went back and he basically became like a governor of the province of Jerusalem at this time because he was leading and telling people what to do. All right. So we're I just want to start out and let you know too that if you have any prayer requests, now is the time, or any time during this Bible study is a time for you to offer up any prayer requests. And at any time as well, again, this is a Bible study. So if there's something I read that you don't understand or you have a question about or a comment, leave it in the comments so we can all talk about it and share. Okay, so let me pray. Dear Lord, please bless this Bible study. Lord, please bless all the people who are watching it and help this Bible study to plant seeds in all of us and all of our hearts and souls so that we may better do your will and grow closer to you. I pray, Lord, that everyone watching, if they're dealing with anything in their life, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical, financial, relational, whatever, medical, please, Lord, Give them the desire to reach out to you and give those problems up to you and offer them to you and ask for your help. And please, Lord, be faithful to help them as you, of course, will be. And I also pray for that you would give us the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and last but not least, self control. I pray you give us the gifts of the spiritual gifts, Lord, so that we may use those to bless you and others. Jesus challenges you. Hello. Thanks for joining, man. All right. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So, again, if you have any prayer requests, go ahead and leave them in the comments. And otherwise, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and help us out. We're trying to get to 1,000. We got big plans for this channel, right? I'm a filmmaker, so what my mission in life for God is to put the Bible on film. So it's a big task, and it's tough. So doing my best, and I love reading the Bible. I love studying the Bible. Always have since I became a Christian at about 18. And I've really been wanting to share this experience with someone, but I found that the Bible studies in the East Coast, in the eastern part of the U.S., Midwest, and eastern part, when the churches there around here have a Bible study, it's really just nothing but a same old, regular Sunday kind of service where a preacher gets up, gives a sermon, and that's it. Where I grew up, Bible studies were actually you like read the Bible and just talk about it. So that's what we're doing here. So it's supposed to be not just me here talking, but you guys as well. So interact. Be sure to, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. All right, let's get started. So we're on Nehemiah chapter 7, and this is just after the wall is completed. So let's get into it. All right. After the wall was finished, and I had hung the doors in the gates, the gatekeepers, singers, and Levites were appointed. I gave the responsibility of governing Jerusalem to my brother Hanani, along with Hananiah, the commander of the fortress, for he was a faithful man who feared God more than most. I said to them, "Do not leave the gates open during the hottest part of the day. And while the gatekeepers are still on duty, have them shut and bar the doors. Appoint the residents of Jerusalem to act as guards, everyone on a regular watch. Some will serve at their regular posts, and some in front of their own homes." Verse 4. At that time, the city was large and spacious, but the population was small, and only a few houses were scattered throughout the city. So my God gave me the idea to call together all the leaders of the city, along with the ordinary citizens, for registration. I had found the genealogical record of those who had first returned to Judah. This is what was written there. Here is the list of the Jewish exiles of the provinces who returned from their captivity to Jerusalem and to the other towns in Judah. They had been deported to Babylon by King Nebuchadnezzar. Their leaders were Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Nehemiah, Sariah, Reliah, Nahamani, Mordecai, Bilshan, Mizpar, Bigvai, Rahum, and Bana. This is the number of men of Israel who returned from exile. Okay. So now it's going to go on a whole long list of names and numbers. And I'm not going to read that because it's just too much. It's too much. Too many names to try to pronounce. I'm going to let you read that in your spare time. Okay, I'm going to jump down to verse. Yeah, I'm going to go all the way down to verse. Verse 60. Okay. So, verse 60. In all, the temple servants and the descendants of Solomon's servants numbered 392. Another group returned to Jerusalem at this time from the towns of Tel Melah, Tel Harsha, Kerub, Adon, and Immer. However, they could not prove that they or their families were descendants of Israel. This group included the families of Deliah, Tobiah, and Nekoda, a total of 642 people. Three families of priests, Hobiah, Hakaz, and Barzillai, also returned to Jerusalem. Now, this Barzillai had married a woman who was a descendant of Barzillai the Gilead, and he had taken her family name. But they had lost their genealogical records, so they were not allowed to serve as priests. The governor would not even let them eat the priest's share of food from the sacrifices until there was a priest who could consult the Lord about this matter by means of sacred lots. So a total of 42,360 people returned to Judah, in addition to 7,337 servants and 245 singers, both men and women. They took with them 736 horses, 245 mules, 435 camels, and 6,720 donkeys. Some of the family leaders gave gifts for this work. The governor gave to the treasury 1,000 gold coins, 50 gold basins, and 530 robes for the priests. The other leaders gave to the treasury a total of 20,000 gold coins and some 2,750 pounds of silver for the work. The rest of the people gave 20,000 gold coins, about 2,500 pounds of silver, and 67 robes for the priests. So the priests, the Levites, the gatekeepers, the singers, the temple servants, along with some of the people, that is to say, all Israel, settled in their own towns. All right, and last part here Ezra reads the law. Now, in mid autumn, when the Israelites had settled in their own towns, all the people assembled together as one person at the square just inside the water gate. They asked Ezra, the scribe, to bring out the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had given for all Israel to obey. All right, now that's the end of chapter 7. It kind of bleeds, chapter 7 and 8 kind of run in together, but I decided to stop there because I thought chapter 8 was a lot longer, and now I see that it's not actually that long. Anyways, I can read that later. So, no Cole? Wow. I haven't seen that name before. No Cole? Says free. I don't know what you mean by that. So anyways, now going back through this chapter, there wasn't a whole lot that I gleaned from this chapter in terms of, main takeaways or like life lessons and stuff like that. So the only thing that I noted really, in this whole chapter were a couple things. In verse 62, it says, this group included the families of Deliah, Tobiah, and Nekoda. In other words, the group that could not prove that their families were descendants of Israel. And Tobiah was one of them. And Tobiah, I don't know if that's the same Tobiah that we have been reading about throughout this book so far, who was they described as one of the enemies of Israel because they were trying to basically disrupt the rebuilding and everything. And now it's mentioning the same name here, and I'm not sure if it's that same person because they made it sound like Tobiah was and the rest of those enemies were like local people. And now apparently he's trying to, if it's the same guy, he's trying to basically act like he's one of the Israelites or something. Anyways, and then the other thing that I noticed was they mentioned the sacred lots again, which such a fascinating concept, right? To it's almost like it's almost like a holy Ouija board, where instead of communicating with demons, you're communicating with God. They had this Uman and Thuman, whatever, and they used that and I guess these sacred lots to be able to communicate with God directly and like have him kind of almost like I think like a yes or no kind of a communication when they had questions about certain things. So they used this sacred lots to ask God about whether or not um, basically these certain people should be considered priests or not, since they didn't have their genealogical records anymore. And it also highlights why you see all these lists of genealogical records throughout the Bible, and why they were so important. Because basically, if you lost track of that, your whole family's heritage might be in jeopardy. You might, like in this case, that if they were actually priests, from the priestly line, and they couldn't prove it, well, then they forfeit all the benefits of it. So it's like losing your property, your property records if you own a property and they got lost. Well, now the state's going to take away your property because, well, you can't prove that you own it, kind of thing. So, anyways, well, that's all I had for this chapter, and we did do a little bit later today. I got tied up. Sorry about that. But and my voice is not. It's not cooperating today. So anyway, that's all I had, guys. And if you want to chat about anything at this point, let me know. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 1,000 here. But otherwise, you all have a blessed weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Monday at about 11, hopefully. If not, you'll get a notification. And if you click the bell, you'll always get notified whenever I go live, and you can join. And of course, they're always uh, archived in my channel, so you can always go back and watch anytime you want. Really appreciate the support, guys. Be blessed, and we'll see you next time.